the engagement with a business or with an institution, there are times that you need to pause and reflect on the relationship to evaluate it and evaluate and see how you can make changes to improve it. So this photo is a photo taken in Ghana last year, March 2023, where our principal in the middle and in a similar tie like mine. This is a University of Edinburgh tie. Principal Professor Sir Peter Matheson went to Ghana, and his visit, he titled it as Listening and Learning Visit. He went there to listen to what our African partners want our future engagement to be, and to also learn new models which we can adopt in improving our relationship with Africa. So he made this statement that it's important that our engagement is rooted in listening, learning, but most importantly, you don't just listen and learn, you also have to make a commitment to whatever you've heard. And we'll learn from our African colleagues, and by listening and observing, we can form a deeper understanding of the role we can play as an institution if we're working with partners from Africa. And that's what we've been doing. We've reset the button of our engagement and relationship with Africa from last year based on a responsive engagement and academic leadership. We want to responsibly engage with the continent and also contribute to the academic excellence of the community. And we know that Africa has the largest youth population, and that's both a challenge but also an exciting prospect for the world. And as a university, we want to see in what ways can we contribute in that development and in shaping the future generation in all spheres of life, including sports. So on our partnership, it cuts across the whole continent, but if you're working with a continent such as Africa, very, very large countries also, you cannot work with everybody. We might not have the capacity to work with everybody, but we have to be strategic in our engagement. So we work both with public, private, and also academic institutions. Universities tend to largely work with higher education institutions, but we also want to work with the private and also other public organizations. So within Kenya, you might know of IRI, the International Livestock Research Institute. We're working with them to ensure the future of food security and to ensure that we also contribute reasonably to the climate conditions. We also have the University of Makerere, Wits University in South Africa, and University of Ghana. The Jamal Observatory is also part of our link with IRI in improving food security. One of the programs that has become a major piece of our engagement and also on the academic development aspect of the youth of Africa is the MasterCard Foundation program. So this is a private organization, the MasterCard Foundation, headquarters in Canada. About 7 years ago, we partnered with them, and we got some substantive funding to train 230 African scholars in all fields. It was mostly undergraduate with a few postgraduates, and almost everybody, a greater percentage of them, came to Edinburgh to study. Through the wonderful, impactful stories of these scholars, the foundation was very generous to also give us a second tranche of funding, which started last year for another 7 years, which in total will be training 870 African scholars, this time at postgraduate level, this time in a blended form where some will come to Edinburgh, but some also will remain in their home countries and study online, whilst they have opportunities also to have quite substantive engagement in Kenya here, and we hope to continue exploring ways. Within the University of Nairobi, we have one of our Chancellor's Fellow, Dr. Samuel Atambi, who is working on infectious disease and contributing data in epidemiology when it comes to livestock, when you go to experts. As I said, academic development is an important part of our work, and one of the areas where the MasterCard Foundation is also sponsoring is in the area of sustainable African futures. And so we have this program in partnership with Wits University. It's called 48 fellows from Africa, 10 of whom come from Kenya, are being trained and developed over a one-year period for a Master of Research, with 30 of them contributing to sustainability. So we are very much interested in development of the youth, and when it comes to sports, Edinburgh has we hope when we partner with CAS and others, we'll be able to open it up for use by our athletes and others. Events called Africa in Focus, where we discuss events that are likely to occur also on the continent. And this February, we talked about entrepreneurship and other areas of life. And one of the things that I also want to highlight, based on Professor Vincent's talk earlier, is the shift from infectious disease to non-communicable disease. You know, the continent, everybody thought during COVID-19 that we might be wiped out. It turned out not to be the case, because we have a very good structures for infectious disease prevention. But we're moving to non-communicable diseases in the area of cancer, hypertension, diabetes, as he mentioned. But our system is not built for non-communicable diseases. So one of the themes of this was the shift from infectious to non-communicable disease, and how do our governments foresee and plan towards this paradigm shift of diseases in the continent. And I hope through research, people matter, and the work that we do is about people, so we want to engage with the community. And Edinburgh is the first proper civic university in the whole of the English-speaking world. And when I say civic, we have 5 of them. 4 of them were built by the church. All of them are in the UK. But Edinburgh is the only university where the city said, we will build the university. So we take pride in being the first civic university in the English-speaking world. And because of that, we are very, very conscious of our civic responsibility and engagement with communities, and making sure our research is not abstract, but we can also communicate it to the public. After the scientist has published it in high impact journal, what do we do to make sure that it makes sense and meaning also to the community? So we have very different engagements, both in Edinburgh, but also outside of Edinburgh and Africa, where we ensure that we engage with the community to translate the research to languages that are more understandable to them. And on 25th of May, which was the African Union Day, we held an event called A Taste of Africa, and we came together with the community in Edinburgh and its surroundings to taste African food, and there was an East African cuisine on board. We also had a taste of the Swahili language. So we were, Edinburgh, as part of our open learning research, Swahili language is taught there. So we wanted to give people a taste of the Swahili language, and if they liked it, which most of them, almost everyone who attended liked it, then they can enroll formally into that program also. Again, in line with engagement with the community, I don't know if you know of this movie, Goodbye Julia, is based on the secession of South Sudan from mainland Sudan. And so as part of that Taste of Africa Day, we screened this movie for the community. The community in Glasgow and Edinburgh had been wanting to get this movie from the producers for a long time. Fortunately, it wasn't possible, but we approached the producers and they gave us the right to screen. There were about 180 Sudanese community in Edinburgh and its surrounding who came to join forces with the university to watch this movie, and it was incredible to see the emotions, reaction, but also we had the lead actress joining us online after the program to from the audience. So as a university, we are very open to working with higher education. We are very excited that objectives and vision, but we are also very open to other institutions who are here whom you think our expertise will be of benefit. So as a university, we've taken, as I said, the approach of responsive engagement and academic leadership. We don't cease in support, and we work together. Hitherto, it's been that people from the West have ideas, they come and impose on us, and they think it will work, but we know that every African problem they break and at other times. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Seth. I want to interactive session that will take us 10 minutes. But before we do so, I would like to acknowledge the presence of Dr. Doreen Odhiambo, who's the CEO, Kenya Academy of Sports. I mean, she has over 23 years experience in sports talent development. And also she's been in event management, sports research, financial management, and personnel management, among others. And she's passionate about sports, having played hockey at club level and had several caps to the national team. Now, she has a PhD from the University of Lancashire in the United Kingdom and FIFA Masters. Please, let's give a round of applause to Dr. Doreen Odhiambo. So I would like to ask Professor Onywera, please, to join us here. And Mr. Aslop, if you can join us here. We want to get into the plenary discussion. I won't take long. We want to take probably 10 to 15 minutes at most. So have your questions ready, right? Have your questions ready. We want to get into, can we get an extra microphone? Thank you very much. Thank you. Yes. Gentlemen, I wanted to get into this interactive session, and I want to begin with Dr. Seth Amanfo. The question is, why is it that we have many organizations in Africa reluctant to get into partnerships, with sporting organizations?
Yeah, I think largely we take sports as something that, for example, even when I go to, I mean, in the UK, we have learn how to play football. And every time I take my child, I'm like, I didn't have to go to a place to learn how to play on the grass, behind the scenes, and whilst passing through, I see kids playing football also. So sometimes we take the notion that sports can develop by itself naturally, or we have the raw talent as Africans in most of the sporting activities that we do. And I think it's important that we see what our brother said, that you might have the talent, but it's also important for the development of the talent. Sometimes you have the talent, but it must be nurtured. It must be, somebody must identify, as you said, and then we develop and nurture it. And that's where it's important that others see the value of partnership in sports. I think maybe because of how our continent is, the shift is mostly on the economy and thinking about things that will bring economic sustainability. And so we don't see the value of sports in development and the contribution sports provides in our own development, and that development contributing to economic development. So naturally, universities, for example, will also not will go for partnership with other higher education, thinking about research. In the case of Africa, it will be more on infectious disease, and as I said, some paradigm shift onto the non-communicable diseases. Sports will not be your number one priority of a higher education in going into partnership, but it's important that as we begin to see the potential of our continent, what it has achieved and what it's capable of achieving, that others also see the importance of partnering with institutions that are promoting sports. And that's why, as Edinburgh, we are excited that partnering with CAS is a very non-traditional route for us, because the traditional route is to partner with higher education. So being able to partner.
You asked a number of people about, what's Kenya's biggest asset, and they said facilities. And out of these 30 people, I'm sure you had a chance to understand why they said facilities are the most important asset and not the athlete. Probably why, from the interaction you had, what made people feel like, facilities are the biggest assets?
Mindset of everyone in the room here is different, because the people here are understanding that it is actually about the athletes, the coaches, and the other people. I guess it's a perception that in order for us to build a road, talk about the word asset, people immediately think financial asset, which is infrastructure and facilities, and that they forget the value proposition of humans. And we are biased towards people, because we know that, for example, you develop coaches, that coach can coach for multiple generations. And those people, be it through professional development, obviously capacity building, even the performance staff that I met with Team Kenya in the last couple of days and talked to them. We are providing direct advice to our Olympians that are preparing for Paris.
Yes.
So it does go beyond coaches. It goes through technical officials, all of our performance staff. But I don't know. That's why I love asking the question. Who do you think is our number one asset in the sports system here in Kenya?
Thank you very much.
Yeah, so it was just an interesting perspective from them.
Thank you very much. School. Why is there a reluctant approach to, from a different sports federations in adopting, schools that will become talent centers? Right now, we have very few schools that are talent centers that you can say that, we know St. Patrick's Iten, it's all about, and Singora Girls, it's all about athletics. You know, you go to in Kitale, football. You know, why is there that reluctant approach?
Because they were waiting for me. You know, you cannot do it if you don't know it.
Yes.
So the model that I'm proposing is such that these organizations, whether they are government-led or they are private companies, can be able, as part of their CSR, to adopt. And my definition of adopting is coming up with child-friendly playground facilities.
Mm-hmm.
I used CAR-T. CAR-T simply needs a line, a nice line drawn in the middle,
Mm-hmm.
and then we have demarcations and a ball. Kids will be able to throw this back and forth. This is something that even alumni from these primary schools can do. It does not cost 5,000.
Mm-hmm.
So that is a way of making sure that organizations are part and parcel of the sports talent identification and development that has been talked about here. 2, we would like to create an ecological model so that when we talk about sports, it's not left for CAS or AK or NOC.
Mm-hmm.
Even the people who make paints, and I'm going to them. I'm leaving no one behind in my model. I'm going to them. Even KTN can adopt 20 schools. And it is very, very easy. I have another presentation, not for now. So we must break down the silos so that we create an ecological model where PE was being used as a punishment. It is still being used as a punishment. But we are saying that sports is the biggest creative industry in the world, 350 million. 60% of that population are the youths.
Mm-hmm.
So we must, that's why I'm saying that we must start from the grassroots, bottom up, inside out. We are starting with 200 schools.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to rely on you, colleagues from the media and other partners, so that we do it. Let us just do it. Let us not leave it.
So I want to open this floor to questions. We'll take 3 questions. By the show of hands, yes, we have 1, 2, and yes.
Yes, I'm Dr. Julia, Chairperson, Physical Education, Exercise Science Department in Kenyatta University. I came in while Professor Onywera was wrapping up on his presentation. As usual, it was very inspiring. I have 2 brief questions to Dr. Seth and Dr. Aaron. Dr. Seth. Yes, staff exchange programs. Is it possible we could have that, where now we could have our staff coming over to Edinburgh, because I hear you have very good state-of-the-art laboratories and also fields and all those facilities? September, can we start with that? From there, we can have an agenda and discuss it. Is it possible, Dr. Ari? Then I go to Dr. Aaron. Yes, coach development. We do have a coaches academy where coaches come and we take them through a lot of training. In your framework of domains, the 6 domains, we realize that how can we bridge this disconnect? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Juliet. So the second person who has a question.
What are the best indicators for coaches' knowledge development? what are the best indicators? If we are saying that the coaches have to go beyond coach education for coach knowledge development, what could be the best indicators to enhance that? And just in line with that, we live in a world that is changing very rapidly. And the human capacity to catch up with technology is almost a challenge. And from what Onywera was presenting, we realized that the enhancement of knowledge through knowledge development, not just knowledge education, because it's not enough, becomes a big challenge, especially in Africa here. And that is why we are stuck in the conventional limbo of how to do things. What would you advise that could be possibly, it could take a fraternity in this country to develop a robust coach system that can then and even beyond. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's begin with Dr. Seth. Dr. asked about staff exchange programs.
Yeah. Juliet, so it's a key component of the partnerships that we form, that we will have exchange of staff for staff here to come to Edinburgh. The notion is that Edinburgh has it all. We don't. We have very good facilities, as you alluded to, but we equally also understand that in your institution, we love reciprocal staff exchanges where our colleagues from Edinburgh can also come and benefit from the expertise and the facilities that you have, or even to come and understand how the system here operates, and for you also to come. So very much welcome to have a chat with you on how we can facilitate that, especially if your target is the September conference. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Then Aaron, Juliet also asked about the coaching modules. Yeah. What do you have to say about that?
Yeah, great question. I think initially it's great that people acknowledge that there's potentially gaps in the knowledge system, the coach education program that are provided to coaches, because if we continue to do the same thing, I'm not talking about just Kenya here, but if we continue to do the same thing over and over, we're going to get the same results. And so I think the opportunity to collaborate with those people that are delivering coach education, development programs, to bridge those gaps. The question that you posed about coaches engaging in the science, that's a generational thing typically, because what we know is that coaching is an art and science. So what we say to coaches is it's both science and art. We can't just ignore the science, we can't ignore the art. And therefore, when you talk to people in the academic field, they go, no, they've got to look at the science. But you talk to coaches and they go, no, they've got to look at the art. And what we've found, particularly through technology and data, it's created a bigger divide between coaches adopting science, because the language that most sports scientists speak is not something coaches are familiar with. Why? Because it's not in the coach education system. Does that make sense? So therefore, let's not exclude the coaches from that process and ignore their 30, 40 years of experience, and let's bring them into the conversation around how do we help you understand this concept, because human nature says it's easier for me to say no than learn and understand what you're trying to explain to me. And I'm sure there's people in the room that have already said, no, Aaron, we're not interested in what you're saying, because it's easier to say no than say, okay, growth mindset, I'm going to be open to adopting this new approach. So I think congratulations to you for acknowledging that there might be gaps in the system, the curriculum, the framework, and how do we adopt it. Is that okay?
And then we had Dr. Ramwamba asking about indicators for coaching development as well as robust coaching.
Yeah, so you asked about the indicators of coaching doing it. Go to the athlete. I survey the athlete and I say, in a confidential way, let's do a three. Athlete is the best person to advise us on their experience of the coaching relationship, the coaching experience, what they've learnt, right? And good coaches teach more than the techniques that we did with the Emerging Nations project. We're going to have a conversation with Kaz about getting involved in doing that, where we have that opportunity to review that. But we do have some markers about, is it present? I don't have technology here, I don't do this, and they're open. That to me is a really self-aware coach. The second question around what can we do to help this? We African countries, but there is some stuff in the where do we have a coach mentor program? As junior coaches taking their job one day, is that true? That's normal human. I think from my observation is that there is a readiness and an interest. The promise that I make to everybody, and there will be a robust consultation process with all sports, NOC, Sport Kenya, CAS, counties, to be involved in shaping what that coach development system looks like for Kenya.
Thank you. I can briefly add my voice here. My philosophy is that athlete development programs need to be simple, make it easy. Number two, this need for co-creation, co-create, talk to all the stakeholders, the coaches, the professor, and the athletes, and come up with something that is homegrown. Because the success of athletes is not like instant coffee. It's like African tea, it takes time. So you have to do that. Number three, Africa cannot run away from science and expect to survive on the global continent of sports competitions. No. Science has to be brought on board, and that's why we are here and other colleagues trying to ensure we get our 1, 2, 3 finish on the podium in all those races.
Yes.
Lastly, at KCA University, sorry, Julia, there are 256 partnerships and collaboration that Kenyatta University has entered into. I developed some of these, and Edinburgh is one of them. So probably you can check with the international office, and then maybe it's time to renew these. It has 7 objectives. One of them is staff and student exchange program. So you might want to check in the records there. Lastly, we'll be launching something around sports excellence. I will not give details now because of IP issues, but in August, working with other partners, we are going to launch something which we believe that will really turn the tide in the African continent. I'm talking about Africa, not Kenya, but Kenya is part of Africa. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Vincent Onyera, Aaron Aslop, and Dr. Seth Amfo for your insights on that. Now, Wanjiko,
Oh, yes.
next call of action, or we also, because of IP, we keep it on the low.
Keep it low. Keep it low. My microphone. I'll actually just appreciate your presence. This is the end of the first session today. Can we appreciate them? Thank you, Professor. Thank you, Doctor. Thank you, Mr. Aaron. And my assistant here, thank you very much, Robinson. It's just a continuation of what we saw yesterday. And if you're a coach, and yesterday I asked, how many coaches do we have here? How many coaches again do we have in here? Hey, quite a number. Kindly get in touch with Mr. Aaron. That coach model. He cannot expound everything in the 15, 20 minutes we gave him here, but it's a very interesting topic. It's just a continuation of what Brother Colm was telling us yesterday, the importance of emotional intelligence and interpersonal knowledge. That is what he was expounding on the coach model. Please take this opportunity, expound on it, get the presentation from him so that you can be able to continually learn about it. Now, moving forward, we will take a short health break. I'm still in the process of managing our time, and I will not give you your 30 minutes. Let us take 20 minutes. kindly, we took some tea before we walked in. We are not entirely hungry. So let us just help me manage time together. We take 20 minutes. Let's be back here by 11:35 for our next session. Kindly utilize this space for the tea break as well as the other one.